lecture about the CPU scheduling. Now there is one term, dispatcher. Now what is dispatcher? Basically, dispatcher module which gives control of CPU to the process selected by the short-term scheduler. So the job of scheduler is to select the process for execution, right? Right. So it basically involves three types of functions. It will basically work in context switching the user program to restart that program. So what is the purpose of dispatcher? First is the context switching. Basically, dispatcher will switch CPU from one process to the another. So what will happen during the switching? Dispatcher will save the old process, status of old process in the PCB and load the status of the new process, right? And next is switching to user mode. So there are two types of mode, user mode and kernel mode, right? So dispatcher has to switch to the user mode for the execution of a process, right? Similarly, dispatcher has to jump to the proper location in the user program so that that program will restart again. So these are the kind of activities, functions performed by the dispatcher. Now, what is dispatch latency? Latency is basically time, right? So, as dispatcher has to perform these kind of functions, so it will take some time. So, what is the dispatch latency? It is basically the time it takes for the dispatcher to stop one process and start another process. So, dispatcher has to save the uh, status of the old process and load the status of the new process, right? So this is your dispatch latency, right? So what is next? Now we have some scheduling criteria, right? According to what is the goal of our scheduling algorithm is to, it is basically we have to identify the process so that which will improve the system performance. So there are some criteria, and first one is CPU scheduling. What is CPU utilization? And now what is CPU utilization? It is basically the average time fraction of time during which the processor is busy, CPU is busy. So it will involve all those times in which processor is executing some programs. We will not include the idle time of CPU here, right? So CPU utilization will be from 0 to 100%. But effectively, we can say that in real system, it to 90%, right? So this is the amount of time during which CPU is busy. CPU is performing something, right? And next, what is the goal of scheduling? What is the goal of an algorithm? We want to keep the CPU as busy as possible so that its utilization will be maximum. And what is the next criteria? Throughput. What is throughput? It means the number of processes that the system can execute in a given period of time. So you have to see how many processes completes its execution. It's not about how many processes are currently uh, running by the CPU. It's basically how many processes will complete their execution during that time. So it is very important, right? So this may be different for different kind of process. There may be some short processes as well as long processes, right? So in case of long processes, this throughput will be one process per hour, right? And in the meantime, uh, more than 10 processes can execute per hour if the processes are short, right? So this throughput will also depend upon the job mix. What is job mix? The number of CPU and IO bound process. So to get the better utilization, to get the better throughput, we have to keep a mix of CPU bound as well as IO bound processes, right? So next is turnaround time. Basically, this is the time between job submission as well as completion, right? So this is the amount of time which is required by the CPU to execute a particular process. So it will include entire time. It will include the waiting time as well as the execution time, right? So next is waiting time. And what is the waiting time? This is the amount of time a process has been waiting in the ready queue, right? So while we will perform the different algorithm, we will find out the waiting time as well as the turnaround time. So these things will be clear to you at that time. Then we have the response time. Response time is the amount of time it takes from when a request was submitted until the first response is produced, right? Not output. It means basically when a process will start responding, not the completion time. It will it will just the amount of time a process will take to start responding, right? So these are some of the scheduling criteria that should be taken into account when we will compare different algorithms. So what is our goal? We want to maximize the utilization of CPU, maximize the throughput, and turnaround time should be less, and waiting and response time should be less. So best algorithm will be which will maximize the CPU utilization as well as the throughput and minimize the turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. So according to this, we have divided our algorithm into various parts, and these are first come first serve scheduling, FCFS. Then we have shortest job first, priority scheduling, round robin scheduling, multi-level queue scheduling, and multi-level feedback queue scheduling. These scheduling algorithms are in your syllabus. So first we will start with FCFS, right? So what is FCFS? First come, first served. So it means the process that requests the CPU first is allocated the CPU first, right? So in this, a process is allocated CPU time according to their arrival, right? So in this case, we make use of the FIFO queue, first in first out queue, right? As the process enters, they will join the queue. And when the CPU is free, CPU will take the process from the head of the queue and start executing that process. So it's non-preemptive algorithm. It means once the CPU is allocated to one process, that process keeps the CPU until it releases the CPU either by terminating or by requesting IO. It means, for example, we have two situation arrives when a process has completed its execution, then it can switch to CPU can switch to the other process, or at the same time a process requests for the input output devices. In that case also CPU will switch to some other process, right? So basically, this is the example in which we have given three processes P1, P2, and P3 with their burst time. Burst time means this much time, CPU time is required by these three processes to complete their execution. Suppose this is the order of this is the order in which these processes arrives. P1, P2, and then followed by P3. So in this algorithm, we have to form this kind of chart. This is called Gantt chart. In Gantt chart, we have to allocate the processes according to their arrival time. So first of all, at time 0, process P1 will join the queue, and this process P1 will be executed by the CPU for 24 time unit. So we will draw P1 from 0 to 24. It means after this time, P1 has completed its execution. So after P1, there is a term next P2. So P2 CPU will be allocated to process P2 for 3. It can be milliseconds, right? So at 24, P2 has started, so it will be complete by 27. Then there is a P3. P3 CPU will be allocated to P3 at 27, and it will complete its execution at 30. So is it clear or any doubt here?